On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, I'll be discussing everyone's favorite benign yet subtly dirty emoji, the eggplant. But in all seriousness, this is actually going to be an episode on the Prince Vault track of the same name from the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe release in 2020. Eggplant was recorded on July 7th, 1986 at Prince's Galpin Boulevard home studio, the same day that he recorded Train, which was the last episode that I released. And according to Prince Vault, the title Eggplant was inspired by a conversation his then-girlfriend, Susanna Melvoin, and her twin sister, Revolution guitarist Wendy Melvoin, were having about women who repeatedly flip their hair when talking to someone. So I guess this is implied that this is a habit only shallow women engage in, and likening these shallow women to an eggplant, the opposite of an egghead, aka an intellectual. So, what's the opposite of an intellectual? An airhead. What's the opposite of an egghead? I guess the answer to that question is an eggplant. And also, according to Prince Vault, Prince recorded his vocal version, but also had Wendy record lead vocals as well. Wendy's lead vocal version remains officially unreleased, although her version with lead vocals is circulating, so I can share where you can find that if you would like to listen to it as well. And there's evidence of Prince doing more tinkering with the song in 1987, but to what extent is unknown and what purpose is unknown. So, little history on Eggplant. There isn't a whole lot out there on the song. It doesn't look like it was really ever intended for the Dream Factory project or Crystal Ball. So I think maybe it was just kind of a one-off, or just an inspiration he quickly had based off of the conversation that the Melvoin sisters had in his presence, and he was inspired to write a song, tinkered with it a little bit, even revisited it a year later, but then ultimately let it go. As for the lyrics, the song starts out on verse 1. That kind of girl's no good for you. She flips her hair and thinks she's cool. Giggles at every joke you tell. Ask her religion, she'll say swell. Starving children, now that's hot. Long as she's eating, damn the lot. Queen of England, Duke of Earl, they ain't got nothing on this girl. So right away in the song he mentions the hair flipping attribute that was referred to or recounted in the Melvoin sisters story. And you know, the idea of her laughing at every joke, whether it's funny or not, that also, I guess, implies maybe that she's a bit ditzy or is just trying to impress the person that she's with, not really having many thoughts of her own and just easily amused. The line, now that's hot, when he says, starving children, now that's hot. So now that's hot definitely reminds me of the Paris Hilton catchphrase from the 2000s, that's hot. But of course, this song predates Paris Hilton's rise to, pop culture fame in the 2000s by almost 20 years. So Prince adding that phrase is definitely ahead of its time, I suppose, you could say. And it seems like the intent of this whole verse, is to paint the character of the song, the eggplant, in broad strokes as a ditz or an airhead. Just, citing different examples and different situations where this person can be clearly identified as not being, I guess, the brightest bulb, and certainly maybe someone that you wouldn't want to spend a significant amount of time with because they're just not intellectually on your level. So the chorus is where things get a little dicey, especially with this first line. So Prince sings the chorus in a bit of a falsetto that is not as easily understood as the verses. So What I hear is difficult to understand, so I've parsed a few different lyric websites to try to get to the bottom of it. I generally go with Moonbeam Levels for You for my lyrics. They tend to be more accurate, but I'm not entirely sure they are in this case. According to Moonbeam Levels for You, the chorus is, she'll change seats with you if her key light is bad. Guinness couldn't count all the men she's had. But you won't be satisfied till you marry the hag. Give birth to an eggplant, oh what a drag. Now, all the other lyric websites that I've been to try to understand what Prince says in the chorus go like this. She changed sheets with a different key, not as bad. Guinness couldn't count all the men that she's had. You won't be satisfied till you marry the hag. Give birth to an eggplant, oh what a drag. So the difference really is that first line. She changed sheets with a different key, not as bad, versus she'll change seats with you if her key light is bad. Moonbeam Levels for You, if that is what Prince says, she'll change seats with you if her key light is bad, I do not know what that means. Could it mean, if we're just going to play that out as being the accurate lyrics, could that mean something like she's looking for the spotlight, or making sure that the lighting on her is going to be the most flattering, I suppose, and someone who's maybe obsessed with how they look in pictures, or like in a pre-filter digital photo age, like pre-Instagram, where you had to get the angles and the lighting correct the first time. You didn't really have a lot of do-overs or chances to adjust through filters. Yeah, there was Photoshop, or very early rudimentary versions of touching up photos to make them look good, but the vast majority of folks, regular people, did not have access to that kind of technology in the 80s. So that maybe that's what that means. But then if you go with like Genius Lyrics and other lyric websites that say that Prince is saying she changed sheets with a different key, not as bad, what this is more playing on the trope of her being not just a ditz, but also a bimbo. Like, to use some antiquated words, but someone who sleeps around. She doesn't have to change sheets in her bed because she just goes to different men's rooms, with hotel rooms or apartments or homes. She changed sheets with a different key. That's kind of what I mean. Or that's what I'm getting from that line, if that is exactly what Prince says. She doesn't have to change the sheets. She just goes to a different room. And she just sleeps with somebody else. So she uses a key to change the sheets. She doesn't have to maintain her own bed. She's just bouncing from bed to bed. Why that's considered not as bad, if that's, the follow-up to that line, she changed sheets with a different key, not as bad. Disagree. That is maybe bad, but maybe it was Prince was being facetious in saying that and being a bit sarcastic. So I don't know. I mean, what do you all hear in that line? It's pretty hard to understand. So I get why the lyric websites are varying in their documented lines from this song, because it certainly is not obvious. The rest of the chorus, though, seems to be pretty straightforward. Guinness couldn't count all the men she's had. That's, of course, referring to the Guinness Book of World Records. And this, again, kind of tells us that Prince is saying this person sleeps around a lot. Obviously, if Guinness couldn't keep track of it, then it must be some sort of ridiculously high number, which, of course, again, is an exaggeration. But it's just a way for Prince to kind of explain or express to the person he's singing the song to that this woman definitely has a lot of partners, sleeps around. Not literally breaking records for the number of men she's slept with, but just as a way to degrade her or to dog her in a way. It's harsh stuff. But, the song is meant to be a little bit mean-spirited. And if you marry the hag and give birth to an eggplant, So procreate with a dummy, you're going to have dumb children, is basically what he's saying here. And that's a drag, is what he says. Oh, what a drag. Moving on to verse 2. That kind of girl's no good for you. All she wants to do is you. There's always 8 women to 3 men. But if you marry an eggplant, oh, what then? All right, so it appears here that he is speaking to one of his male friends. So you might have came to that conclusion from listening to the first verse, that he's speaking to someone when he says something to the effect of, that kind of girl's no good for you. You get the sense that he's talking to somebody, maybe a buddy, and trying to warn him of women like that, or that woman specifically. So you definitely get that sense with the second verse for sure. And it's more of like he's offering a cautionary tale, or helping his friend realize that this woman's no good for him by insulting her intelligence and calling her names and slut-shaming her, as I mentioned, all behind this woman's back. So again, whether it's warranted, whether it's him being overly cruel or callous towards this woman, maybe this woman isn't as bad as he's leading on, but he's definitely doubled down on the insults and doubled down on the intent of steering his friend away from this, either this woman or this type of woman. The line, 8 women to 3 men, I guess he's trying to tell his friend that there's other fish in the sea, in so many words, not to settle for a woman like this, that there's others out there, and for some reason he thinks that, there's going to be more than twice as many women available to him. The ratio doesn't seem to make sense to me. I mean, the population of men to women is not 8 to 3, so I don't, or women to men, I should say, isn't 8 to 3, so I don't know where he's getting this ratio, or this estimation that there's going to be several women available to him if he just looks elsewhere. The disparity doesn't seem to make sense, but I guess if in Prince's experience up to this point, he has more women that want him than he can handle, so it probably feels like to him there's multiple women to 1 man ratio that are interested in him. So I guess why wouldn't he assume that it would be the same for his buddy? Well, his buddy isn't Prince, so nonetheless, I think it's just kind of humorous. But ultimately, what he's obviously trying to say here is just don't settle. The ocean is full of other fish. You do not need to marry or be with someone who isn't up to your standards. Prince then goes back into the chorus, and that's the same, so I won't go back through that. And really, most of the song, the second half of the song, is instrumental. We do get some horns later on in the song. You can hear Prince vamping a little bit, tell Atlanta what to do. I support this group. These are just types of things that he's saying in the background while Eric and Atlanta are laying their horn parts down towards the end of the song. But yeah, about half the song, it's a fairly long song, about 5.5 minutes. About half of it is lyrics, half of it is instrumental. So that is what I have to say about the official Prince vocal version of Eggplant. So now the interesting thing about the Wendy lead vocal version, unofficially released but circulating, is that the question around the chorus, that first line of the chorus, either is cleared up, or if you still disagree with that's what Prince says, changed up. I tend to believe that it's the same lyrics, because everything else about the song has the identical lyrics to Prince's vocal version. But when Wendy sings it, it's a bit clear, because she's just singing in her normal register, not in a falsetto, like Prince often does. And so she does say, and you can clearly hear it, she'll change seats with you if her key light is bad. Okay, so in my mind, that that clears up the confusion about what Prince says in the first line of the chorus. It doesn't make it any more obvious to what that means. I still kind of tried to explain what I think it means, talking about, if the spotlight's on her or not on her, the lighting is bad, she'll change seats with you, meaning like I'm looking to maneuver my way around the situation to make myself look good, even if it means making you look bad. So, hey, you, take my seat. I don't have good lighting on me. I'm going to take yours. And it's more important for me to look good than it is for a friend or partner to look good. And that kind of speaks to this woman's shallow nature, I suppose. So that's what I take from it. And since in Wendy's vocal version, the lyrics are more obvious to me, we're going to go with that. And again, this is why I think Moonbeam Levels for You is the superior lyric website for Prince music, because they clearly took the Wendy vocal version and then applied it to the Prince vocal version. And most websites would not have even bothered to seek out an unreleased vocal version from a different singer. Another interesting aspect to the Wendy vocal version is after the first chorus, there's a spoken word section between Wendy and Prince, where Prince says, "Yo, Lucy, give me some slack. You don't even know the girl." And she says, "Oh, yes, I do. I know her kind exactly. She's probably got a poodle named Fluffy." Prince says, "Yeah, I bet she got a real fluffy poodle." And Wendy says, "Oh, please." In a very similar way to the way Sheena Easton says, "Oh, please," and you got the look, "Oh, please," like exasperated. So that is this another kind of funny aspect to the song. And there's another one after the second verse. IQ of an ice cube, a serious wind tunnel. You know what I mean? She's beautiful. She's retarded, slow. But you won't be satisfied till you marry a hag, give birth to an eggplant. Oh, what a double drag. And in Prince's vocal version, the double drag is used as well as in the Wendy vocal version. But I only mention that because double drag is kind of an interesting Prince-ism, I guess I would call it. Prince uses that phrase, double drag, in both Party Up from Dirty Mind and Let's Pretend We're Married from 1999. So it is definitely a phrase that he is a bit fond of in the 80s. And, it's not just a drag, it's a double drag. So it's like even worse is the way I kind of interpret the way he uses that phrase. But yeah, so the interesting... there's a couple interesting things about that. So, and then in the Wendy version still, towards the end, there's a bit more kind of fun lyrics. If you marry an eggplant, oh, what then? Everybody jump back. Groove about to get black. Eggplant's about to bake. You better be ready to shake. Come on, all right. Go, go, booty. Gonna rock this soul. We 3 pirates taking the gold. I support this group. Eggplant, Parmesan, hag. So just vamping again, more funny lyrics. So clearly Prince was having fun with this song. Wendy was having fun with this song as well. Maybe there's some lines in here, especially in the Wendy version, where Prince and Wendy are going back and forth in between verses, where lines like, she's retarded, slow, those wouldn't fly today. But this was the 80s. People threw offensive insults towards each other, un-PC lines towards each other. We just didn't know better. And even if we did, we didn't care, apparently. So that's just one of those things. Never released, so it's kind of a time capsule for sure. So what does the Parade and Sign of the Times era studio sessions book have to say about Eggplant? As I mentioned, this song was recorded the same day as Train, so there's a section about Train, and then it segues. After midnight, Prince's tone changed when he started on Eggplant, a playful but slightly insensitive song about a self-obsessed woman who was as dumb as an eggplant and is warning to a friend to avoid her. Prince tracked this fairly quickly, and once the basic elements, including the OB8 synth, cowbell, guitar, and a bass line from the Ensoniq Mirage synth were recorded, he added his vocals and mixed the track. The following day, he'd have Wendy and Lisa add their own touches to the song. Eggplant was not part of any configuration of Dream Factory, Crystal Ball, or Sign of the Times, and also remained unreleased during his lifetime. And then the next day it talks a little bit about the horn overdubs that Eric and Atlanta added. It appears that the previous day's sessions continued into today, so before Prince wrapped up, Eric Leeds and Matt Atlanta Bliston were brought in to play sax and trumpet on Train and Eggplant. Susan Rogers created a mix of Eggplant with the horns. Later that day, Wendy was recruited to replace sections of Prince's lead vocals with her own. It is likely that Prince left the studio after he asked Wendy to add more of her voice to the track. During the times that Prince left the girls in charge, it was a more relaxed atmosphere, according to Wendy. It was easier to make fun of the stuff when it was kind of bad, like the song Eggplant. We fought hard. I was like, dude, it's just not very good. This is not. And he was like, just do it. And we're just kicking and screaming about that song. And when he wasn't around while we were doing it, I could be like, yes, fucking hate this song. It sucks. And she laughs. Prince would have Susan oversee the recording of Wendy and Lisa's background vocals. I remember there was a vocal part at the end that has Lisa singing Eggplant. It was in the control room recording. Prince wasn't there at this time, but Lisa was doing backing vocals, repeatedly singing Eggplant, that we just got the giggles. It seemed absurd. The absurdity continued with Prince singing Go Go Boogie, Gonna Rock Your Soul, Whipped Cream Pie, and Shake It to Go. Tickled by the ridiculousness, Wendy and Lisa added a background chant of Caravan of Parmesan. That was just something silly that we ended up saying because it was Eggplant, and we would pretend we were singing like Carmina Burana, Eggplant Parmesan, and we would sing, and we'd just start doing crazy things like that, explains Lisa. It would just end up on tape somehow. That was always part of the process. It's like, let's see, we need bass, check. Lead vocal, check. Guitar part, check. And we might need to fill in this section. Silly talking? Yeah, go do that, check. So clearly they were not a big fan of Eggplant. Prince ultimately must have agreed because he didn't release it. Maybe he thought it was too slight or too offensive. Yes, people could get offended in the 80s. It was the thing. It wasn't like it was just all cruelty on top of cruelty and nobody had any feelings. You just had to suck it up and live with the insults. No, insults still hurt in the 80s. And this wasn't a very nice song, even if it's got a fun beat. And there's some aspects to it that I do like. It is maybe not the most brilliant of Prince compositions from a lyrical perspective. All right, well, that is what I have to say about Eggplant, both Prince and Wendy's version. Fun stuff, slight, perfect song for a deluxe release of a much better and more well-known collection of songs, which was Sign of the Times. All right, this has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics Podcast. I've been your host, Jason Renninger. You can find the show at pressrewind.net. And until next time, thank you very much, and goodbye.